A very good day and a warm welcome to all of you who have joined us to follow Meet the Top Scientist, organized by Infotech and R3 Initiative, promoting interdisciplinary actions at the University of Oulu. My name is Simo Kekäläinen and it's my pleasure to host this session. In this Meet the Top Scientist event series, we take a look behind the scenes and introduce you to the people who are the creators and actors conducting top research at the University of Oulu. Today's guest is a PhD, professor, Academy of Finland Research Fellow, an engineer and a family man who belongs to the top 1% of the world's most influential researchers. He works at the Center for Wireless Communications and 6G Flagship research program at the University of Oulu. He is leading a research group focused on, among other things, radio resource management, heterogeneous networks, game theory, and machine learning in 5G networks and beyond towards 6G. Unlocking not only wireless networks, but also his past and future with us today. Please welcome Professor Mehdi Bennis.
Thank you, Simo.
I also want to remind the audience about the opportunity to ask questions. So we've allotted time at the end of the interview for questions, which you can pose here live or send them via a chat on Zoom. The 6G Flagship program will also be recording this interview. Please also help yourselves to the refreshments, make yourselves feel comfortable, and then we go. Again, welcome Mehdi. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Nice to have you, Will.
So just a moment ago, you heard your bio that I got from the university website. What does it feel like to hear it?
Well, first of all, I think the bio needs an update.
Okay.
That's something I have to work on. Yeah, I mean, just reading, part of my life, what I have been doing over the last 17, 18 years, going back even to my, education era. But yeah, I mean, just makes you humble and want to remain curious, remain modest, and always learn.
If we go even further beyond those 17 years that you just mentioned, what would the bio of young Mehdi look like? Where were you born?
So I was born in a country called Morocco, North Africa, or like what I like when I want to tease my wife, I said south of Spain. So my hometown called Casablanca. I'm sure most of you have heard about this word before. So yeah, young Mehdi was just a normal child, growing up in a modest family, father, mother working hard to provide income, education. When life was much more difficult than nowadays. And yeah, I was just again trying to enjoy life. I remember that I enjoyed actually learning new languages, for example. So Morocco speaks, our mother tongue is Arabic, but we also speak French, and some part of Morocco speaks Spanish. So my mother actually inculcated this knowledge of languages in myself, and it still carries on until today. And yeah, I also enjoyed playing sports. Football is our most kind of popular sport. I grew up also playing tennis, a lot of tennis in my young age. And yeah, just a normal child, you can say,
What was the profession of your father and mother?
My father was actually working for Swiss Air. Swiss Air, he was a kind of a sales manager of Swiss Air, so the national Swiss airline. My mother was also actually working for a number of airlines, used to be also an air hostess. She was one of the first Moroccan women to be air hostesses back in the days. And yeah, so they remained in that business for a long time. Yeah.
In Casablanca, does anybody say, play it again, Sam?
No, you have to know, this Casablanca, so the word actually is Spanish word for White House, but so there is the connotation of the movie, obviously, but there's also the connotation of, for example, there was an earthquake back in the days, and one of the only remaining house was actually a White House, right? So, it's a different part of the story other than the Hollywood and, so.
Wonderful story. So you said that back in the days, your parents instilled a view of knowledge and passion for knowledge in you. So how were you like in school?
So I was a decent kid, I guess. I was not the best when I was growing up. I just had this curiosity actually for mathematics and physics, and something that now I realize obviously is I didn't want to learn by heart. You need to understand that most kids, until today, even my kids, some of them are in the room, PhD students, there's a difference between learning by memorization and understanding. Okay, so I grew up maybe in the understanding category, which gave me, I faced some problem with my mother. Why you don't learn this by heart? Because I don't want. I want to reproduce that formula from scratch without memorizing, So that was me, right? So my brother on the other side was more of a learning machine. So you would get top grade, right? But then we know the problem with that, as soon as you change something in the problem, you fail. And this brings us also to, what's intelligence, what's understanding versus just memorizing. And I think it's a journey on its own, right?
Definitely, and we'll be talking about intelligence in your academic career later on in the interview.
Okay.
But what kind of dreams did you have back then? Do you remember those?
Yeah, I don't have a good memory, actually. My wife keeps telling me, why you don't remember, parts of your childhood? I don't know why, but I do remember some vivid moments. When for example, I used to play, I played a lot of football when I was young, so winning tournaments, these kind of events remain anchored in my memory. Playing tennis with my brother, so we played the tournaments, doubles back in the day when we won the tournament. Those events remain. As far as school is concerned, I don't remember much. To be honest with you, yeah. So basically our life back in the days, very long hours at school, unlike Finland, it's a different system over there. So a lot of work, a lot of homeworks, and then on top of that, I had to go, football, and tennis kind of training, and come back at 10 p.m., and then have to do my homework again, I wake up at 6 and do some more homework and go to school. That's real life in many countries, not only Morocco. So yeah, that was a bit my kind of recollection of when I was young. And then I developed over time this, love, let's say, for sciences. So mathematics and physics, these are two branches I really liked, actually. And one of the reasons, actually, is because, thanks to teachers. I think it all comes down to teachers. If you have a bad teacher, probably you will not, like that subject, right? But I happen to have very few excellent teachers, and they instilled, I guess, in me until today, probably, they planted the seed of again, curiosity, research, whatever we want to call it. And it worked out, apparently.
We all need inspirational people in our lives, definitely.
Right.
But then what happens? You finished high school and you're relocating places.
Yeah, so I got my baccalaureate in 1996. I was young, I think I was 17 or 18, yeah. So in Morocco, because a lot of peer pressure, So what I'm gonna do, your mother wants you to become pilot, your father wants you to become, Elon Musk or whatever. But so it was a difficult period actually on its own. But because my father worked for Swiss Air, there was this natural kind of, I would say, inclination for going abroad. So in Morocco, you need to know, again, we are pre-programmed in the sense that because we were colonized by France, until today, different kind of colonization, the best talents in Morocco go to France. And that's a big mistake. Nowadays they understand it, but So I went to Switzerland, which people didn't know back in the days. I went to a school called IEEE Fellow, École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, which is today one of the top engineering schools in the world. Okay, so actually I was in the first batch in a degree. They started back in the days, it was communication systems, telecommunications, right? So that's where I started studying. I had the best students, professors back in the days, information theory, signal processing. There was no machine learning back in the days. But yeah, it was very, very strong school. And then, because it was a kind of a dual degree, we can say, then in the third year, we all went to Euricom, which is in Sophia Antipolis, in south of France, Nice. Then we continued there. It was great because Euricom is actually co-founded by EPFL, Telecom Paris. Actually, Alto used to be part of it, and other universities. So you meet with different people, different. It was great time. And again, 2 years there, and then after that you had to do your master thesis. So this is when I went to the US, right? I went to Boulder, Colorado, in the Rocky Mountains. A fantastic place, actually. You know, it's like Oulu, but add more mountains and add more, I don't know, parks, whatever. It was a difficult time because it was 2001, and we all know what happens in 9/11. Me, myself, Moroccan citizen, I think I wasted 1 year waiting for my visa to be issued for obvious reasons. But then, when I gave up on that idea, started looking for another place to do my master thesis, I got the visa. Oh, great. Okay, well, let's go back then. So I went there. I spent 8-10 months there. It was a great experience. I was young. I had a very high salary back in the days. I used to spend it almost every weekend on clothes that, if you check my closet and I say, oh, you used to wear this kind of hip-hop clothes? Yeah, it was me. And, just a young kid in the US, this can be dangerous sometimes. And then after that I came back to France, defended my thesis, graduated, and then again, okay, what do we do? So then I stayed actually as a researcher in Eurocom, and then after that I worked for a company within the valley. It's kind of a Silicon Valley over there. And then it was a company working on digital transmission over cars, right? I worked there again 1 year, and then something happened. So I don't know if I have a recollection of that, but all I know is I landed up in Oulu, November 2004, the best month of the year, right, to come to Finland. And I remember when I applied for the visa, and I told you this before, if you remember, I applied for the visa, and the consular or ambassador or whatever told me, are you sure? I mean, you're in Nice. What are you doing? Yeah. I know what I want. Nokia, let's go. Anyways, fast forward. I'm here, right?
From sunny beaches of Nice to the sunny beaches of Oulu and Nallikari.
Absolutely, yeah.
What did opening hours of a Finnish supermarket teach you when you first arrived here? There's a story.
How do you know that? Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Well, I've done my research.
Oh my goodness. GDPR. Okay. Yeah. So I arrived on a Saturday at 4 p.m.-ish or 5 p.m.-ish. And as we know in Finland, supermarkets close at 6. So I meet Hanna Sarela. She's probably on Zoom or she's here, I don't know. And she, how fast, she's a fast forward person, And she's like 2 persons in one. And then she goes, oh, here's your key, tack, your building is there, tack, Antila closes in 5 minutes. Okay, see you Monday. Great, thanks. So that was the first, plus the darkness, plus the snow, plus all the... It was something,
So what made you stay after all that?
Well, I don't know. I guess resiliency, you can say. I don't know. You're not gonna come here and then leave the next day. No, it was fine because I had a very nice group of friends back in the days. Some of them actually may be here, or there was a professor, for example, Kenta Umebayashi. He came here to do his postdoc when I came here to do my PhD. So we used to hang out a lot, and there was also Antti Tölli, and there was also, Pong. We used to hang out. So the social element was very important, very important. Also, we used to play football every Monday, futsal. We composed a futsal team. We won tournaments here in Oulu. Great time for. Actually, I was more longing towards the futsal training than to publish my my research.
Priorities in life.
Priorities. Yes. This dopamine release, when you play football was something.
You can't beat it, yes. But did you always have an academic career in mind? Now you're finished with your PhD, you're in Oulu. What happens then?
You mean when I came to do my PhD?
Yes.
Yeah, so of course, when you come to do a PhD, so it's a journey on its own, of course, but you have a goal, right? The goal is to get your PhD, and then you see whether you continue in academia, academic track, which is very hard, or you go to industry, right? And both have pros and cons. I can give you my impression of, where both should go and how much overlap they should be, and, we can talk about that a bit later. But, I remain obviously in the academic career. This is more recent. Of course, I was contacted or headhunted by a number of companies, But somehow this freedom that you have in academia is priceless. Okay, so for me, there's no way I will give up that. Mm-hmm. Of course, don't quote me on that forever, but freedom has no value. And this is something we have here at the University of Oulu, but in general, I think, right? And that's what I can say.
Now that you stayed here, one organization makes its way into your life. That is the Center for Wireless Communications. So can you tell us a bit about working at CWC?
Since day one or nowadays?
Since day one.
Since day one, it was great. We were in Elektronikati, I think, near, on the other side. And it was great. I mean, we were a standalone center. Not like nowadays, a bit scattered and a bit of, It was a standalone center, 2 floors, I think. I had my shared office. It was great. His mission was to actually hire foreigners from all around the world, bring them to Oulu, and work on, wireless communications. At that time, I guess it was 4G when I came here. 3, 4, I don't even remember. But it was a great time. And again, as I told you, there was the social element, the technical element, was just a great experience, And then, of course, again, for the record, so I started my PhD on one specific topic with one specific professor, and then, a PhD journey is very tough. So that professor left, and then I had to reshuffle my focus and start from scratch, and new supervisor, which was difficult, but I think it's actually made me more resilient, because when you swim upstream, it's different if you headwind or tailwind. So I think it helped me a lot, actually.
You definitely need a different set of muscles to do that.
Yeah.
And then, defending your PhD, you stay here as a researcher. And now, what happens between those years, being a researcher, and now, soon we will come to this day, but what happened after that?
Yeah, so I graduated last day of 2009. So 2010, I actually started my postdoctoral research here at the Center for Wireless Communication. So I was actually working on an EU project focusing on femtocells, which is this idea of deploying small cells to improve coverage and capacity. And that, I think, helped me actually grow, as a researcher. Because in fact, my PhD, I can say on record, was not the best PhD one can do, right? Because for obvious reasons. Now, as a postdoc, I was basically a no-name. And then, of course, so I took it on me and managed this project. EU project, how it works. You have different companies and universities you meet, and you collaborate, exchange knowledge. And to me, that helped me a lot, actually, to start growing up, This was obviously a 2.5 years project. But that led to another project, to another one. And of course, now because my PhD, I have always been, by the way, so fascinated by multidisciplinary research. But so my PhD topic was actually about the application of game theory in spectrum sharing, okay, among, let's say, multiple operators, okay? So it's a game. You can model it as a strategic, non-cooperative game, okay? You can use game theory to predict, by the way, whether a war will unfold. You can use it in many different, it's a universal principle. So then I added to my, let's say, arsenal different tools. So game theory was one, and then, of course, naturally, machine learning was actually around the corner. And started building this kind of, again, like toolkit of tools. Because I didn't want to be tied to just wireless communication, What about if that tool can be used somewhere else? And today, I think that was the best bet I have done. And I'm trying to instill this also in my researchers. Do not be stuck to one discipline, one research, read one type of papers. No, that's not the way, at least in my group.
Expand your horizons.
Absolutely. Remain curious. Okay, be modest, because actually one lesson I learned now I realize how much I do not know, and there's a lot that I don't know. Trust me, and I think that's a good driver, right? To remain a student all your life.
Being able to collaborate, but what other things, in your opinion, makes a great researcher?
Collaboration, teamwork, all these buzzwords we hear. So I hope, it's good to implement them, obviously. But so collaborate with other people. In my case, obviously. So again, because in that project there was this feedback which was missing. For example, coming from academia. Okay, so you like to do kind of blue sky research, but sometimes it leads to nowhere. Maybe it's 10, 20 years ahead. But then when you go to those projects and then you present, and then you get feedback from Qualcomm, Nokia, Ericsson. that helps you, a bit come to planet Earth a bit. And I think that was a very good, closed loop feedback that is useful even nowadays, right? But again, I mean, that allowed me to grow somehow, because even for me, some people, I don't know, met me once in my coffee room here, and they tell me, have you checked your H index? How come, They try to decipher my secret. My secret is essentially just hard work, okay? You need to have a very, a wife that, is understanding. A lot of work, there is no secret here, And again, don't stick to your comfort zone, because a lot of people stick to the comfort zone. I hate that. So I take risks. And the more risks you take, the better, right? And again, in academia, you don't have a pressure from whatever company to cut your wings. So I think this is something I really enjoy, and I want to see it more and more, because sometimes the tendency is actually the opposite, right? So that's what I can say.
How about the other side? What is the most difficult thing about being a researcher?
As a PhD student or as a professor? So for PhD student, actually, in my group now, all the difficulties I have faced, I try to remove them for my PhD students, and they can, of course, contradict me here. Yeah, just focus on research, okay? Funding is on me, okay? Collaboration on me, apurahat stuff on me. Just focus on your research. Yeah, okay. So I try to also stay close to my students. I don't like this professor, I'm very, I think, right, at the moment? So yeah, I try to be a normal person. For professors, the annoying part is to constantly acquire funding. It's annoying. But that's part of the job, I guess. Some people, they are amazing just because they bring funding, they don't do research. Some of others, they do a lot of research, they don't have funding. So you need to have both, right? Mm-hmm. And funding, unfortunately, is nowadays a random process. Sometimes you have a very good idea, reviewer doesn't get it, or is not, well versed in the topic. You don't get it. Another professor may have a lousy idea, but he knows how to write very well in English. There's a lot of randomness in this field, right? But just focus on research. That's my goal nowadays.
Simple advice.
And funding will come, actually. So you see, I like to reason like this. For example, don't force me to work on this topic, because I know whatever I do will match that. Understand? Mm-hmm. Funding-wise, I know the topic that I will work on, companies will come running and fund. And it works so far. It works.
You need to believe in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you believe in yourself that what you're doing is important, right, has impact, one company will come and try to fund you.
You've mentioned people many times in your speeches, your collaborators, your colleagues, your students. Could you tell us a bit about your own research group that you're leading, the ICON research group? So
ICON essentially was formally established, I don't know, 3 years ago, I really don't remember. Yeah, it's just an idea. So CWC, as you know, used to be, let's say, one center, but of course now it's divided into two groups. There is a radio access and there's a networking focused research. So within the radio access kind of technology group, led by Professor Marco Junti, maybe they realize, or I don't know. It's good to have other groups within one group, right? Because different focus areas, and just to know where we are actually aiming at. Because I worked a lot on machine learning for communication and communication for machine learning, it was natural to establish this group. And the group, I think when we started, we were 12 researchers, so postdocs and PhD students and some master students, thesis workers. And it's a normal group nowadays, right? So and of course I have to say this on record. Yeah, so it's under the 6G Flagship program, right? So that's a big umbrella of all the centers we have in our faculty.
What are the most interesting things that you're right now researching? What's popping, so to say?
Right now, it's a combination of excitement and frustration. Mm-hmm. Right now, so what I'm working on actually is what I believe is, it's something that, how to say. The topic is about actually semantic communication. So it means different things to different people. It's about how humans communicate, okay? For that, you need foundations of cognition. Steve Laval, actually, I'll explain to you where this is heading.
We've got time.
Yeah,
So
we
don't
got
worry.
time. Yeah. But it's really interesting, because my conclusion. Let me conclude and then go back. The conclusion today, I think, I realized by building this big picture of many disciplines and many professors working on this part, that part, there is one universal framework, actually, and this framework is related to, again, semantic communication. How are we interacting right now? I mean, some people, some companies use this word, this terminology of Internet of sensing. I communicate to you the sense, the touch, the smell, whatever. The underlying mathematical foundation is actually semantic communication. That's what keeps me very excited nowadays. It's part also of 6G Flagship, obviously, but it's about mathematics. Because in fact, if you ask me today, or many, when you compare 6G and 5G, to me, there's no breakthrough yet. There's no breakthrough. It's just incremental here and there, and more base stations, and more bandwidth, and more spectrum, and more. No. Yes, that's fine. If we call it an engineering generation, fine. If you want to call it a scientific or fundamental generation, it is not. And the missing piece, the elephant in the room, actually is semantic communication. Turns out, in fact, that this area is going to revolutionize not only communication, but also machine learning, but also robotics, and this is where Steve Laval comes, but also other things. People working on metaverse, so people working on virtual reality, obviously Steve. You need this. You need this ability to go from the raw data, which could be an image, text, speech, sensory information you have, and instead of communicating that, what you do, you need to extract semantics, meaning, and carry that over a wireless channel, right? Not like this, right? To the other end, and then the other end has to infer, decode the meaning, and act upon it. So this is essentially what semantic communication in short is. So for those who don't know, so our area has been started by Claude Shannon, 1948, 1949. He wrote this amazing paper, and there he detailed actually 3 levels of communication: level A, level B, level C. Level A is actually when I communicate to you a message, you have to decode the exact same message at the bit level, okay? But then he lays out the other 2 levels, level B, level C, which were hidden because actually they were not used maybe in the back in the days, basically the world, Cold War, right? But now it turns out, no, we need those because it's all about semantics. We interact using level B, level C, not level A. Level A is actually useless. And it turns out the 6G requirements we see today, in fact, are based on the wrong level. Because in fact, yes, if you follow level A and you have to decode every single bit level, this image has to be exactly the same image at the other end. Yeah, you need 10 times more base stations and 10 times more whatever, okay? But if the goal is to reason over one another and to decode the meaning of what this image is, you actually, it's so intuitive. You don't need that. In other words, you have to relax the requirements that we see today. But again, really the key block here is mathematics of, call it cognition, call it abstraction, by the way, call it reasoning. So reasoning today is not part of communication. Base stations do not reason over one another. Why you don't have autonomous vehicles in the road? Because you need something else than just learning statistical correlations from data. If the audience knows there is a very nice book by Daniel Kahneman. I'm sure some people have read it. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. Yeah. That book, a lot of people read it. I was the last one to read it. Okay? But when I read it, it became obvious to me, I need this. So actually something, one of my best kept secret is I like to read books. And actually the other day I was thinking I'm gonna start a new podcast, something like that too, because I found all this inspiration I have and these mathematical tools are found in few books. Books of mathematicians, books of Daniel Kahneman, right? He's a cognitive psychologist, right? Nassim Taleb, very famous professor of mathematical finance, right? So, taking risks, portfolio maximization, finance, all these tools, we need them today in wireless communication. So back to thinking fast and slow. Thinking fast and slow is essentially what is in the book, right? It is system 1, system 2. System 1 is learning statistical correlation from data. Small data, big data, it doesn't matter. Learn some patterns. Maybe the color of my shirt correlates with today is what? Is it Tuesday? Tuesday.
I think it's Tuesday.
Okay.
Yes.
So Tuesday, Mehdi is always wearing this. So you're learning some statistical correlations which actually are useless. Not all the time. They are still needed sometimes. But the other engine which we have in my brain and yours is system 2. And this mode of cognition actually can handle exceptions, plans, reasons over time scales. So this is what I'm trying to do here. So the system 2 plus system 1 is something we need. We need statistical correlations, and we need structure, call it system 2 or whatever. So causality falls under system 2, right? Learning abstractions, learning concepts, system 2. And everything else, to decorate that concept, is statistics. This is what Steve Laval needs. This is what I need. And other people who believe that we need something else than what we see today. Yeah.
One could say that you are researching a subject which is a super hot topic. If you Google things like 5G, 6G, federated learning, AI, you get thousands of results. Presidents of the United States have talked about it. What's the fuss about all these things right now, from the society's perspective? Why do we need this?
This means 6G or...
all of these things combined.
All this stuff?
All of these things
okay,
combined.
now some geopolitics now. I don't know. So so one thing, So last week, CEO of Nokia, right, Pekka Lundmark, right? Mm-hmm. He was in World Economic Forum in Davos, and he was interviewed by somebody, and the 6G topic came, and probably he knew what to say. So he said, in 2030 you will have actually, so the smartphone will disappear, and you will have different ways of accessing your data and communicating with people. So 2018, I think I went with Mika Rantakoko, we went to the Mobile World Congress. At that time we had the CWC stand with 6G on it, and people were almost making fun of us. Oh, 6G, what are you guys doing? Even 5G doesn't work, and you're talking about 6G. Fast forward nowadays, of course, everybody is on 6G. But in terms of what these technologies do to us, it depends. So for investors, business-driven, profit-driven people, it's money. Okay, we need to be very careful here when we talk about sustainability, resiliency, and whatnot. Okay, actually, if those guys that matter, unfortunately, okay, they don't care about the money that they invest. There should be a return on investment. Okay, now from our perspective, of course, we try to say, we're coming up with new technology to improve the human lives. Yeah, so this is for sure useful. So you can say, okay. It depends on the vertical, on the domain, right? For me, I've been thinking about this a lot, actually. So you need to understand that, so for example, this autonomous vehicle use case, why are we working on this? It's because actually a few years ago, a crazy angel investor in California woke up, billionaire, obviously, and said, you know what, I want to invest in autonomous vehicles, okay? Same thing for virtual reality, by the way. And it percolates, and you find a professor in Oulu, up north. Oh, I need to do research on this, okay? Is that gonna solve the problems of poverty in Africa and in Asia? I don't think so, okay? So we have to be very careful here because sometimes we are influenced without knowing it. The way I try to see it is I want to, if this idea of semantic communication, let's say, works, it will have benefit in terms of, let's say, even take the sustainability goals or United Nations goals, whatever, to basically avoid, transmitting a lot of irrelevant data, transmit only the minimum amount of data. It's one small part because sustainability is a huge ecosystem, right? So I'm trying to do my part because I think it's a kind of emerging property. It's not just one piece, right? All the actors have to collaborate to enable sustainability, not just put it on your slides if you're company X to impress the others. Because, it's like electric vehicles, right? Exactly. A lot of documentaries that argue, or science argued that actually this is a new business opportunity, right? But again, I'm a professor, I'm not a geopolitician, but what I'd like to see now, because something I think convinced now is, if you want to work on this topic, sorry for making a lot of buzz about this topic, you need to go back to fundamentals, to mathematics. Right now, that's something which keeps me very busy. This is something where I'm very frustrated because I am missing some key theories in mathematics. So now you find me read some crazy books about algebra, abstract algebra. Because in school, again, we were taught just 1 + 1 = 2. Completely. So that plus is very misleading. Can we do the same thing with shapes? Can we do the same thing with concepts? Can we add two concepts together, come up with a new concept, right? This kind of compositionality is actually the secret for learning concepts from data for abstraction. So you need mathematics. Right? You don't need anything else. And I believe that this now goes back to maybe the how to hire or attract talents. We need to go to countries who are excellent, not in Python programming, but in fundamental theory, mathematical foundations. Okay, and try to hire from there, because right now I'm convinced we need forget everything and just focus on mathematics, physics, and other fundamental sciences. That's something I really it's an advice actually for me and for universities, companies. It turns out there are three categories. There is a business-driven research in companies. There is a technology-based research, and there is vision-based research. Okay, I respect a company that has all of these. Okay, so because vision-based research is where we come into the picture and try to influence now. 6G is almost over, but it's almost done because the fundamentals are. I mean, they say that what I'm talking about now is more 7G, if you want to call it this way. Because it's very hard to catch the standardization train. It's already kind of about to go. And there are time scales you need to respect. But now, we need to work on those new foundations of mathematics, which will be good for me, for Steve, people working on metaverse, education. You go to companies now, one of the use cases is of Google, Microsoft, is upskilling, Mm-hmm. Upskilling is I put you in a metaverse environment and I teach you semantic communication, let's say. Okay, so these things are very much kind of needed everywhere, and of course, education. I think that education has to be rethought. Why? Because again, speaking of my childhood, at least, the courses I took, the way the teachers taught me. So remember, memorization versus understanding. We need an education system that helps you or teaches you how to understand. And it's a very hard, my group, I face it, it's very difficult. How do you teach understanding? Finland should be the one leading this because we are we are the best education system. So I believe in this, but we need to push this at various levels of education, primary, secondary, universities, research, obviously, right? So.
And everything goes back to the multidisciplinarity that you mentioned at the beginning.
For sure,
And as a professor, you're not only a researcher, but you are also a voice in the community. And a moment ago, you mentioned the thing about retaining key talents, attracting them here. So what is your thinking when it comes to university between industry? As a university, what can we do more to retain and attract these key talents from Finland, from all over the world?
It's a very important topic. Okay. So yes, so there are two things, right? So the first one is how to attract talents to Finland, Oulu specifically in this case. I think we're doing a good job, we meaning the whole university and us, me, there are difficulties because obviously the location is not favorable. We have to be cognizant of this fact. There are ways to address this, and I've said it actually to this guy over there. The best way to attract talents to this place is to invite them for a research visit. MIT, doesn't matter, okay? Because I've done it, and it works. And Steve Laval is doing exactly the same thing. Invite them, say, Oulu is nice. It's not that crazy location over there, and it works. So this is one thing. Now, of course, the talents come here, then you need to keep them. Don't take it for granted. He came here, Finland is the best country on the planet and they have to integrate. No, sorry. You have to walk them through Finnish life because in fact, This can be go deep, by the way. You know, I mean, we live in a bubble. All these people living in this room, except maybe the Finns, we live in a bubble, right? So there are many things that we do not experience. Other people kind of working in different fields, right? Sectors don't experience. We are in our bubble of research, and it's great, you know, and that's why we stay in Oulu, right? But to keep them here, we need incentives, right? It's all about incentives. For example, I don't know. I talked with actually Mohammed is there in the room. Maybe you know, this is why Hannah Salela, by the way, should play a big role here. Is to, for example, the spouse program, right? That was launched a few weeks ago, right? This is something my wife told me. Are they taking care of the spouses of your researchers? I said, I don't know. Do I have time to check that? I'm busy, you know? But when I came to CWC, it was exactly that. Dinners together, cottage together, ski together, you know? That has disappeared, right? Mm-hmm. So we need some kind of structured program to make them love this place, because it's not actually easy. Okay, we have to face it. I've been here 17 years. I know what I like and what I don't like. There's no perfect place anyways on the planet.
But you're also a member of the international community here at the University of Oulu, which is a home to over 2,000 international students from over 100 nationalities. What is the situation with the international community in our university like right now?
Okay, I'm not really, I don't have time because of my research. I mean, I don't know exactly at a kind of microscopic level what is happening. I know that there are a lot of international, obviously, students, Erasmus. In my group, by the way, I don't have any Finnish person, unfortunately. It's not that because I don't want, okay? It's because I don't find them. Or maybe you think I'm very tough or whatever, okay? Or maybe I don't do 8 to 4, okay? You have to work every day. This is PhD. It's not a job, sorry, okay? I don't know, but yeah. I mean, I know there. I mean, some of the nationalities they have a sense of community, which is very nice. I think, like Sri Lankans, Egyptians, Iranians, and others. I mean, because we are social animals. We need a sense of community. I mean, it cannot be a single individual, especially with the weather. And it's very tough, right? What I can do, I really don't know. I mean, I'm ready to help for the talent acquisition part. Because I think it's missing, actually. It's missing. For example, this topic I'm working on, you need a different breed of students here. In other words, I don't care if you have top GPA from Harvard. I don't care. Maybe you're amazing at memorization. Maybe you're an elephant, okay? I need a different type of students which are very hard to find. Of course, you can train them, and it takes time. So, but that's a kind of the obvious conclusion I reached. How to teach my daughter, she's 5 years old, how do I teach her from now, how to learn concepts in her brain and reason over those concepts instead of 1 + 1 = 2, 2 + 2 = 4. Who cares, right?
Exactly. So more events, more community-related gatherings and so on. That's the way to go.
I would say so. Maybe some tournaments in sports, food, by the way, I like food. Do some culinary events, do it. I mean, I have 2 Italian visitors. They came. I mean, Italy is great, and now they are inviting us for tiramisu and pizza and stuff. And I mean, I like it, because this is how it should be. Don't go to the coffee room, take your coffee and leave. Don't even say hi, This is what's happening in most of the departments. The social element is missing.
We'll test the audience in a while when they get to go to the coffee. But talking about concepts, in a 2020 interview, you mentioned a concept called Vision X.
Okay.
What is this Vision X that you've come up with?
So Vision X is something I've been working on for 2 years, and it's became a monster. But in short, it's exactly about this framework of semantic communication, actually trying to break it down in terms of mathematical tools, what you need to learn. So for example, I told you this, I mean, you can take 2 words together, semantic communication, but behind under the hood, oh my goodness, you need basically to again, study topology. You know what's topology? This is topology, right? A shape, right? So you need to understand the concept of geometry. So these are easy because you can see, okay, these actually have the same shape, so they are equal. Remember, 1 plus 1 equals 2, these are the same, okay? Now, of course, can you do the same thing in abstract space? Using sets of elements, so maybe these elements are some set, and then maybe they have some order, right? And you find out, oh, this shape is a cube. My goodness, nobody told me this in school, right? So again, you need elements of topology. You need now, I have a topology grade, so now what I need to do is take these two and add them together. It's a new shape. Take cooking. Cooking is actually about taking ingredients, right? Raw material, combining, whisking stuff to cook a cake, right? This process actually is also mathematically grounded, and you need algebra. But you agree with me that cooking is an algebraic exercise. You're taking things together, adding, mixing, boom, boom, and you emerge a cake, right? This notion is completely missing in the way we design our network, model our networks. Completely missing. And it turns out this is the same principle that Steve needs. Why? Because in his work, it's all about robotics. How do two robots communicate? How? You have to, again, take this camera feed from the robot, let's say, and map it to this topological space, and then maybe do motion planning on that space. Do not do it in the GPS location. That is the wrong space to operate on. But you see, this is where you have to reason in a different space, and that space is structured. It's not a random. This is not a random environment here, yeah? Reason over there, right? And then you understand now you have this virtual part and the physical part. That's metaverse type of thing, So missing. So this is what I'm working on now, before I even came to the interview. But again, it's frustrating because I'm not an expert in these fields, obviously, of course, right? So I need to read, but I don't have time to read because, I have many other things to do. So how do you read fast, get the concept quickly, and apply it here, right? That's what I do basically, right? And then I can, for example, talk to Steve. So Steve Lava, he's one of the smartest person, right? Because in fact, it turns out the research he's doing now is actually related to his 2006-2005 research. Because his research essentially is more mathematically grounded, as I said. It's not just apply here and there. In my community, it's more application, optimize, whatever. But robotics, for example, is much more difficult because you need different tools than just learn statistics between the channel, okay, from a base station to a user, and what type of power you use, okay? So you have statistics. Another maybe message here is statistics are great, but they are not everything. So don't believe only in statistics, because sometimes the data has zero knowledge. I can right now cook for you a data set where I correlate my shirt again with the day of the week. And I give you this data set, and you go and train a model, machine learning, and come to me, I have best accuracy in the world. So what's that? It doesn't make any sense, actually. So, because we need logic, by the way, okay? So right now, I have never learned about logic. You need logic. We are reasoning over one another, right? Even if you don't talk to me, I can reason over you because I have a logic, I have a knowledge base in my brain, and then I use it to infer what is it trying to tell me here, fill in the blank, and blah, 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 This is essentially, so one key principle is missing today. So I'm working on it now. It's it's a difficult topic, but will pay off big time. Big time, yeah.
Before we talk a bit about the future, I think we could take questions from the audience.
We have quite a few comments and questions from the Zoom already.
That's the danger of Zoom. People, they hide, they...
Yeah, they have the option to be,
more
anonymous. Well, I asked them to have their names present. So Vic Perez, first of all, asks if you could tell us more about your strategy to disseminate your research. How do you do dissemination? Any hints?
What do I do to disseminate my research? Okay, so if you live in 2022, there are many ways to disseminate your research. Personally, I use a lot LinkedIn. I do it. I use Twitter. I give keynotes. I travel. People know me, but it happens over time. Yeah. In the beginning, nobody knew me, obviously. But yeah, it's the best way, disseminate. Of course, present. And nowadays we have all the Zooms and Teams and YouTube, so you can just record yourself, upload your video, and put the link, right? put the link on YouTube, okay? But yeah, and I have to say that COVID-19 actually was good and bad. I mean, good because, yeah, you could sit in your chair or armchair and watch a conference, but then too much content, you know. It's like, which one do I start? From where do I start? You know, so it became a bit too much. So, yeah, you have to select a bit the content, yeah. I don't know. Hopefully that answers the question. But dissemination is a key part, yeah. Some people have to do it a bit more than others because maybe they are not known or maybe their work was not very well, let's say, advertised. I don't know. But yes, we live in a PR world. Even myself, you know, you need to do PR. You know, you have to be active on that side. So LinkedIn, Twitter are my favorite ones.
Then another question from Belal Amin. You left companies for the academia freedom, which is truly great. However, entrepreneurship can also give you the same freedom. It's even more amusing. It's written, and have you thought of starting your own startup?
Oh yes, I have thought about it. My wife didn't like it because she said, if you work 23 hours a day, then you do a startup, well, it's better to call it a day. Actually, I must be one of the most stupid professors because I work on a field, machine learning, where I think you can do a lot of startups. It doesn't mean that it's easy. Of course, it's very hard. There are many people who are better than me. But I recently started to explore that part. And actually, yeah, I push my students or postdocs who have these ideas. I push, okay, please go ahead. Yes, let's do it, you know. So we started, thinking about this direction, which is very important. But I'm just afraid myself of the stress. You know, I'm already stressed. I spend a lot of work on research. It goes with me when I go to the gym, to the bathroom, to sleep. It's not healthy sometimes, but that's what research is all about, right? So yeah, startup, yeah, he can contact me if he has a good idea.
Thanks for sharing the valuable experience of your success. They are inspiring, yet realistic. In addition to imparting knowledge to students, peers, and other researchers, how do you help industries, business to adopt and turn the technologies into practical solutions? How do you connect the academic outputs to the business or other non-academic organizations to maximize the benefit of creation?
Yeah, whether I help research, whether I help industry, I mean, of course, not as much as I want or they want, because again, so right now I have a lot of collaboration with companies, by the way, many. So in my case, I'm very picky. I don't like to be tied to pressure. So for example, if you work with some companies, I will not mention the name, every week they're after your neck, okay? I don't want that. If you do certain type of research, it means that you're also related to patents, right? So some companies are very active in that. But in short, I mean, I do help companies. I work with Nokia Bell Labs, for example. My former PhD student now in Espoo. We have running project together. So I would love to help Nokia even more. So as a professor, by the way, I like to be neutral, okay? I don't want to be tied to one. So I like Nokia Bell Labs, Ericsson, Huawei, Qualcomm. I'm a professor. I'm not supposed to do politics here, okay? You know, obviously there may be some constraints. We all are aware of these things nowadays. But I have my own way to deal with these things. I think it's smart as a university to be as diverse as possible. What is resiliency? Resiliency means if one link drops, one source drops, hey, no problem. I have my other sources. If you just marry one company, and of course we have to help that company, by the way, what if they close the shop? What do we do here at the University of Oulu, right? So we have to be a bit smart there. But yeah, I see the need to make it even wider, bigger, you know, because what's happening, by the way, now geopolitics is a bit ruling the game, you know. So Finland was #1 in 6G program, right? But nowadays, I mean, Germany, UK, Korea, Japan, US is very aggressive in 6G, okay? Because they see a domination there. Because they have the software part, which was very strong. So companies, we forgot about like HP, VMware, they are coming to eat the part of the cake, right? So let us be also smart and try to tap on different sources.
What do you think is the best topic for a startup company right now in 5G, 6G?
So I know I was monetized, now I am leveraged, and now they want my ideas. Okay, I mean, I don't know. Ideas, I don't know. I mean, so with my student, actually, he's now in the room, and the postdoc, we have been working on this idea of sperm analysis using machine learning. You know, and actually, Business Finland liked it, although we don't have the domain knowledge. We are not medical doctors. So you could basically today, the idea of machine learning today, the system one, stupid but you can make a lot of money, is to gather a lot of data and use the data to learn some patterns, right? To basically avoid this mundane, useless task for the human, and let the human focus on more difficult tasks, or, you know, free his time. No? So this is why you see so many startups. And then whether you do a startup to be acquired or do a startup because you love it, it's two totally different things. Huh? Yeah. So I'm interested in actually more, since you ask, I'm interested more in advisory role. My goal is to say, don't look there, this is congested. Go this area, make a lot of patent for 7G. Okay, this is my role. Because in fact, for that, this is where you need a different breed of people. I'm one of them, but there are many others. Universalists. Okay, don't stick to one area. You will not fly. Okay, we need this Oppenheimer type of people. We don't have them. Okay, people leading research initiatives today are either business oriented, engineering oriented, but it's not enough. You need scientists who understand different disciplines. You understand? Somebody who talks to Steve Laval, somebody who talks to education person, somebody, you know, understand that, okay? We need those people.
Yeah. The road so far seems very impressive. Where are you planning to go from here? Is Oulu and CWC in your future long term?
Yeah, okay.
They took my question, but it's a great question. So
Yeah.
I'll let you answer it.
Okay, it is, okay. It's the question that everybody wonders. Why is this guy still here? Then I tell them, look, even Steve Laval is here. If I move, eventually, I do not want to move as yet another professor. I made my point very clear, okay? If I move, I want to move for something bigger, okay? Start a new center from ground up, okay? This is my vision, actually. So what we discussed today, for example, can we build, I'm sending messages here right and left, can we build a new center, like a truly multidisciplinary center? Oulu, Helsinki, whatever, okay? Where no two profiles are the same. Don't get me only my type of profile, no. A mix of different disciplines and make them sit down and try to come up with the same language to solve a variety of problems. There are some companies that do it. So that's my vision. I want to do something very similar, closer to my field, okay? I think this is the best ever investment that any company would do. The place and the institution that facilitates that to me, we can talk, yeah. But Finland is my home, okay? Just to be clear, Finland is my home, will always be my home, even if I leave. I have spent so many years here, right? My daughter was born here. But you need to be smart, yeah? You need to be smart sometimes, yeah.
Well, coming back to academics, Wahid Farahi, thanks you very much and fully agrees with the point about inviting people and making Oulu attractive. So going a bit back to what was talked before. Wahid comments, however, I think we should consider the scholars when we talk about Nokia and other companies. There is a reason many students go in the middle of their studies, and we need to identify the underlying reason behind leaving academy for companies. Do you have any?
Yeah, he's very right. Maybe it's also our fault. There's something wrong in us. Maybe we don't make it as casual, cozy for them and their wives. You know, you need to be smart here to make them happy, because happiness is, the salary is one thing, but maybe you can make them, you know, they have to contribute. They have to see that what they do is relevant, meaningful, right? So it makes sense to go to industry, especially they offer you this permanent contract and whatnot, but intellectually speaking, it's a disaster, okay? So my student recently left. When he handed over his badge, he felt so, bad, because he knows the mistake he basically made, right? I cannot blame him, because I told them, whoever leaves, don't wait for me. I'm not gonna go after you to ask you to finish your PhD. You're gone for now, So it's up to you to show me that you are interested in finishing your PhD. Yes, a question over there.
Yeah, this is kind of like a personal question.
Personal, I think all my life will.
How have you maintained like the work-life balance starting from your first days in academia, and like what would be your advice for like an early stage researchers?
Yeah. So I have changed a lot actually. People who know me, I used to spend 2 hours lunch in Aula Ravintola, hanging out with people and stuff. Over time, I have changed. I have a 10-minute lunch. It's tough. I have changed because of work. Work has changed me, which is very bad. Okay, so you don't let that happen to you, but try to draw a balance. I mean, for example, also back in the days, I remember when I was very stressed, I didn't care about anything. One day I said, I'm going to the gym. Oh, I need to go to the gym. You know, and you go there and you go to sauna, and you know you're so much energetic after that. And I go back to work. You know, as I get older, I don't have much time to do that. And now I feel it because I have some medical health issues. You know, and so balance is very important. Yeah, depends also on your wife, obviously. My wife, I mean, she's been very kind with me. You know, I mean, because I have very similar cases, which ended up in, you know what I mean? So, because she was a researcher. And when you are a researcher, you understand that it's not 8 to 4 here. Sorry. Sorry. In this country, this is the impression sometimes we get. No. Go to US and you will see what happens. Okay? Again, we don't have to replicate the same system. But there's a good balance, right? So, yeah, I mean, but you can work. In Oulu, I think it's easy to optimize that balance. Right? In other cities, like commuting takes forever. This is why Oulu is actually very optimal in terms of maximizing, quality of life. Right? There are issues we shouldn't forget. Let's not be, flower power. But yeah, this is all I can say to you. But yeah.
Yeah. One more question from the audience.
Okay, hi. So I'm a teacher, and I found what you said about education and how we should teach students to understand. I found that really intriguing, and that kind of like resonated with me. So do you have any suggestions for me of what I could research in the future?
Speaking of startups, you could do a startup exactly on this, right?
Okay.
So, I mean, I have ideas, obviously. So I'm trying to implement them on my daughter, by the way. Ideally, we need to have apps, applications, smartphone stuff, because right now they're just wasting time on that stuff. But yeah, can we use that to teach them because you're expert in teaching. This is why this classroom of teacher and students doesn't work. It used to work. I mean, I'm a product of that, and everybody maybe. You need to teach by interaction, and you have to be grounded in the environment. Okay. This is how knowledge gets disseminated. So we need to come up with new applications, ideas for startups, to teach you, for example, a concept of topology. When two things are equal, when two things are different, when one thing is better than another thing. If we can come up with those apps, trust me, it's maybe Aura plus. But yeah, I really believe in that. And Finland, I mean, you yourself, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. If you know these apps are I would like to use it on because I'm using my daughter to test these things. I know that actually one of Steve Laval's smart postdocs, I don't know if he's Ukrainian or Russian, I don't know. He's actually thinking about this. Because once you actually work on these topics, forget the blue sky, mambo jumbo. No. This is what you need, actually. How to teach this concept, So Montessori type of teaching is one baby step. But I think we need much more, We need to think in terms of concepts, abstract geometry, topology, and then do algebra there. Not 1 + 1 = 2. This is
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So so I need that part. Teachers need it. Semantic communication needs it. Steve Laval needs it. You see how universal this principle is?
Looks like it.
Yeah. This is the conclusion after so many years.
If we don't have any more questions from the audience, I'm going to take the lead again. And I will pose you 3 most difficult questions of this interview to conclude it. Firstly, What do you consider your biggest achievements in life so far? Be them academic, something else. What would you say?
I don't know. Hard question, very difficult question.
I said they were going to be.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. I still consider myself to still be I'm still a student, as I told you. I'm still learning. I achieved few milestones. Yeah, intermediate milestone, became professor. Blah blah blah. Apparently, the youngest professor here. Thank you. Fine, but it's not something I'm driven by different things. Okay. I'm driven by learning new concepts, I was in Morocco 2 weeks ago and I was checking this old bookshelf there and I do this and I see a book on memory. Oops. Then I start to do this. This is 1968 book, whatever. Oh my goodness. It's back to this thing. Memory. How do you store things, So again, do you store a concept or do you store something else, Anyways, so this is what drives me, and then I start reading. This guy is. My wife said, "You're crazy." Then I order a book on cooking. Oh, you're gonna cook finally? I said, not really, but because cooking is about this, okay? So that's what drives me right now. But to be honest, I want that this curiosity stops at some point because life is not only about research, okay? What I want to focus on different things. I don't know, maybe give more to the community, and enjoy my family. Obviously, that has much more importance to me. But research, it's fine. I can stop today.
But it's still there for a while, at least.
Unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know.
50 years from now on, if you look back at your life, what would you like to see?
But first of all, 50 years from now, I will not be around. But
did you say that?
Yeah.
Our longevity has been expanding.
Apparently, yeah. These telomeres and all this stuff. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest with you. So
Let's assume that
if that works, I would love to be in good health because to live 150 years, which by the way, back in the days, the prophets used to live much more than that. But I want to be in good health, enjoy my family, and understand the purpose of life while we are here. So okay, 5 more years and so what? Is that all? Maybe there's something else, right? So 50 years from now, I don't know. I told you last time, for example, I'd like to see my daughter, grandfather. I don't know. This is the meaning of life, but the rest is just on the way, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, I'd like, for example, my daughter now, she's a mixed marriage girl. Father is Moroccan, mother is Spanish, born in Oulu. I have a huge responsibility here because I want to teach her how to be intelligent. What is intelligence? Intelligence is the ability to adapt. I put her in Morocco, she acts Moroccan. Put her in Spain, she acts Spanish. Finland acts Finnish, okay? This chameleon type of behavior is very key here, okay? And teach her to be somebody who, again, reasons, so maybe teach her some topology, some algebra. And of course, that she has fun. Fun is important, right? And that's my job, I think, as a father. I don't know. And also something else. And also, I need to give back to my home country. So I'm just one sample of many other Mehdis who are in Morocco. They don't have the chance to come here. They are smarter than me. We need to find a way to bring them here. But I want to give back to my home country, but also other countries. Let's not have technology in the hands of very few. Okay, so China, US. No. Can we spread that knowledge, all around the world? Can we do that? That would be great. And solve this, other problems than autonomous vehicles, poverty, education. There's so much we can do, right? That's my. I don't know. I will never achieve it, but if I can just do epsilon. Toward that direction is enough, right?
Your little part in it.
Yeah, my little part in it. That's my goal.
As a concluding question, your email signature reads, wirelessly yours.
That's true.
If you were to sign off with a message to the audience, something in the way what your parents instilled you back in the days, the curiosity, what would your message be like?
To whom? Say again?
To the audience, to the ones that have listened to us today. What would be the one thing that you want them to take with them when they leave the space? And you can talk to them right now or even to the camera. But if you sign off with a message, what would that be?
So instead of wireless yours, you want me to put something else? Or
Yeah, like before it, yes.
I don't know. I mean, I guess we discussed many things today. So I don't know. The take-home message would be that I mean, on a personal level, obviously, we need to keep this curiosity. You need to remain modest because the more you realize that you don't know, the more modest you become. In fact, it turns out the opposite happens in industry. When you see somebody arrogant, is actually because he doesn't know much, right? So I think this is something very important to instill for students, for everybody actually, right? Now, of course, at community level, speaking specifically of Oulu, yeah, we should do more, okay? So we have accomplished a lot. So I'm one of the reasons being here after so many years, but I think we can do a lot more to essentially train the next generation of students, researchers, teachers. And Finland is that country, right? I mean, why we came here, because we heard of Nokia, right? So technology, we should use technology for many purposes, not just to, I don't know, connect to data, but to, yeah, improve, I don't know, teaching, improve, impair people, visions, whatever, right? So that was my key message here. But this also requires a lot of kind of grassroots developments, new centers. For people who are listening, you know, we need that, and that's something that definitely is missing, not only in Finland, by the way, in the whole maybe world. I don't know, right? So I'd like to see that happening. And why being stuck to one location? We could actually be researchers, you know, all around the world. Why you have to be stuck to one geography, one location, one center? Can we break that model? COVID-19, I was actually thinking, I was challenging a bit my colleagues. What are the new ways of working now after COVID? Are we going to go back to office, or we do Zoom and nobody's engaged? One is teaching, cooking, one is running and taking calls. Can we come up with new ways of hiring? Speaking of hiring, can we hire people in India and see ways to pay them somehow to increase the talent pool, right? This is what Google and Facebook, they say, oh, work anywhere in the world, right? This is a way to get more people to work for them. Yes, you need to work out the insurance, you need to work out this and that, but I want to see more of these things. I mean, come on, it's 2022 for God's sake, and yeah, maybe it's just me. Sorry for that. And maybe a new, instead of wirelessly yours, I'm thinking to change it maybe to semantically yours. I don't know. I don't know.
That's going to be a big change.
Or stay curious.
Stay curious, yes. Curiosity, no? Yeah. And also, please, read different literature. Go read philosophy, don't make fun of that discipline. Go read psychology, don't make fun of it. Go read different disciplines. You know, you realize, oh my goodness, this makes so much sense. And the best of the best is when you link, actually, this is what I enjoy it so much. You link disciplines which a priori have nothing to do with each other. This is the biggest achievement actually you can do. Okay, so I'm undergoing this kind of change in my life or research life. I'm trying to identify links. Oh, wow, okay, this is the same as this, okay. And this is what, you know, I recommend, in short. Yeah.
Be on the move, collaborate, expand your horizons.
Yeah, that's true.
Curiously yours, Mehdi Bennis. Thank you so much for
Simo.
sharing your time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Because
And thank you everyone for joining Meet the Top Scientists with Professor Mehdi Bennis, organized by Infotech and R3 Initiative. My name is Simo Kekäläinen. Stay safe, take care, and until we meet again. Thank you.